Welcome to Secrets from the Saddle podcast. I'm Sylvie Dow, your host, fellow cyclist, bike club founder, cycling coach, bike race junkie, just truly super passionate about cycling. My journey with cycling started 20 years ago when I opened a spin studio, started a women's race team, and founded a women's only cycling club called Cycle Fit Chicks. I'm super thrilled to reveal all aspects that make the world of cycling operate. I'm so excited to be able to bring you interesting people from around the world, pro cyclists, recreational cyclists, coaches, event organizers, bike shop owners, everything and everyone you need to know or ever wondered about when it comes to cycling. I know you'll enjoy this episode. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Secrets from the Saddle, All Things Cycling podcast with your host, Sylvie Dow. And here we have another race organizer, part of our race series, helping everybody, in the United States and Canada, find some amazing gravel, mountain bike, and road cycling races to attend this year, because I know that a lot of people were getting on their gravel bikes and bikes in general and are looking for fun events to attend. So Dale Lundberg, right? Lundberg, I think I had it right the first time, is a race organizer of Fitty. I love that, Fitty, a gravel road race, and Custer's Last Stand mountain bike time trial. So we have him here and he's going to tell us all about it. Welcome, Dale, to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy Friday.
Oh yeah, I know. Happy Friday. Woohoo. Now, first question is, how did you get into cycling yourself, and how did it lead you to become an event organizer? Where are you located? Are you in Michigan as well?
Yeah, standing in Battle Creek, Michigan.
Not right now. He's USA. Actually in Costa Rica. No.
Yeah, exactly. Palm trees and oceans, never, like 12 months out of the year, I'm good.
Yeah,
I can have that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, how did you get into it?
So, I'll take you back to like 1997. I could take you back farther. I'll take you back to 1997, and everybody sees the gray.
I know,
and the
we're
beard
both.
And the
I'm
hair.
pretty
You're
sure
like,
probably around the same age.
Probably take you back to the late 60s. No, I'm just kidding. So you go back to like 1997, and I was born and raised in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, in the UP, and I had moved down to Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is not too far from where I live now. It's only like 25 miles to the west of where I am now, to attend Western Michigan University and for college, to complete my bachelor's. And one of the things I needed to do was find a job. I was raised by blue collar parents. They raised me well to kind of earn your way, to appreciate the value of hard work. And I needed a job, and I went to what was then Breakaway Bicycles in Portage, Michigan. And Portage is like butts right up to Kalamazoo. And I walked into that bike store, and there's a Trek dealership and Specialized in Cannondale, and they had probably, I don't know, it was a decent sized bike store. It's the picture that I'm trying to draw in everybody's mind. Yeah. And I walked in there and I got a job as a sales associate. Ooh. And, through the natural course of just being around bike enthusiasts every day, I was a mountain bike enthusiast before I walked into that bike shop, to be very honest with you. I mean, I love riding trails, but I had never kind of donned, the bibs and the jersey and shaved my legs and rode a road bike before. That was 25 years ago. I've shaved my legs plenty of times, since then, and put on a bib all the time. So, those guys, too many of them to mention, they introduced me to road cycling, riding in a pace line, and just the appreciation for just riding pavement, going out and just, riding as a group, riding hard, riding mellow. And so it's like I say, 1997, the last 25 years is really kind of my timeline for biking.
Yeah. Kind of sounds about right for me. I started in 2000.
Okay.
And maybe the same. Yeah. 2000 with mountain biking. Then I went to road cycling racing, and then now back to mountain and to gravel. So yeah, it's about a 20-year timeline right across there.
Yeah.
So how did you decide to, because are these events your main gig?
They
No.
are. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
oh, no, 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 no. I misinterpreted. Let's clarify. I think I misinterpreted the question.
yeah, not your main paying gig.
I do not, this
Your
is not a paying gig for me at all. No. And I love it that way. But no,
Mhm.
this is completely Fast Fitty, and Custer's last stand prior to Fast Fitty have been run through Join the Fight, a nonprofit. And the
Oh,
mission, the mission, and we'll get right into it. The
yeah,
mission
tell us
of
about
Join
it.
the Fight is centered around human and sex trafficking on the rehabilitation side. So there's a lot of
Okay.
great work that's happening on the prevention side, things to look out for, awareness training,
Mhm.
I mean, they train medical facilities, hospitals, truck drivers. I mean, there's a lot of that. But when we founded the nonprofit in 2019, even though the races started in 2018, and I can explain that,
Yeah.
we had found that the rehabilitation side was lacking. So you get rescued out of that lifestyle, you're able to escape or whatever. What does it look
Then
like to
what
re-enter
then?
life
Yeah.
as you knew it? And so we've come across the House of Promise in Lansing,
Mm.
Michigan, founded by Sherry Montgomery. Totally gonna, shout out to her. She's a wonderful woman. She had a very successful, and I'm gonna be very careful with what I
The word.
disclose, because if I don't
Yeah.
have facts, I'm just not going to
Mhm.
embellish. But I know that she was a successful business owner prior, and then she felt a calling on her life to sell that business, to buy this house, and to kind of enter into
Oh,
this
wow.
life of really helping women of all ages. Get the, I guess, basically the full scale love, healing, social counseling, everything that you need to kind of get to a point where you can go live back on your own. And that even includes
Right.
education. And so
Oh, wow.
my wife and I have not been impacted in any way. I'm anticipating either people that might listen to this are wondering, or I might be asked, have you been impacted? We haven't, thank God. I mean, but it's just something that my wife and I back in 2011, living in a different town, had an opportunity through the youth group that we were working with to put on a 5K running race in the town that we were living in. And the youth group kids were the ones that wanted to do it, but they wanted the parents to get behind them and kind of be hands and feet and, partners with them. And they wanted that money to go to human and sex trafficking missionaries in Thailand. And so that's kind of where
Oh,
the human and sex trafficking education came into our existence. Like, we did not know, from a global scale and even
right.
in a local
Mhm.
regional scale, how bad it really was. Um, and so fast forward from 2011, we've moved from that town to, we actually lived in the town, John Mosey, if I'm saying his name right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
either
yeah.
Mosey or Mosley. Jackson. We were living in Jackson, and it's unfortunate. John and I never got a chance to cross paths back then. We didn't know of each other.
Yeah.
But living over there, then moved to Battle Creek, and it's 2017, probably November. And I just felt like, uh, from a personal faith perspective, I'm just gonna say I'm Christian, and
Mhm.
and I just really felt like there was a calling on my life to start a mountain bike race. And my wife, when I told my wife, I said, mute the TV, brace yourself. I said,
Get ready.
I really feel like we were just asked. I feel like God just called us to start a mountain bike race. And she didn't even hesitate. She goes, well, we'll give the money to human trafficking survivors. And it's been off and running since then. It really has.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, go ahead. I've been saying a lot.
No, no, no. It's about you, and we want to hear, like personally. I know we're talking about, events and cycling and everything, but I think this is really important to maybe talk more about the sex trafficking that, but just because I'm like interested.
Yeah.
And for myself, that I started a women's gravel race last year, and I was like, where can I tag in like a charity organizations. So I'm in the process of finding out what organizations are locally, because I would like to help locally. Obviously, I know that
Mhm.
there's a women's shelter that
Yeah.
it's a private place, like not nobody really knows where it is for those reasons.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking that that might be my key charity, um, to help, put some of the money towards that. That's locally. But when you're talking about the sex trafficking and you talk about Thailand, does it go to Thailand or does it stay locally to, you said it stays locally to help women rehabilitate back into society?
Well said. Yeah, let me clarify. The Thailand comment was
Yeah.
from 2011, the running race. We had
Oh,
had a we
okay.
had had a missionary come through from
Oh,
Thailand, and
okay.
he spoke at the church. He spoke at the youth group,
Mm-hmm.
and it just really, I think the youth group aged not grades 9 through 12 females in
Mm-hmm.
particular, even though everybody got involved, that they were really, I think they felt touched, like this could be me. Like there's
Yeah.
girls my age that are just living an atrocious life, like parents selling them as
Uh, yeah.
possession. And I don't, that was, I felt like the extreme. I think back home here, what I've learned is it's a little different. I don't necessarily, I don't think we're talking about selling children, but certainly there's a lot that I think goes undetected.
Mm,
I wanted to grab just a couple, I mean, it's just a couple of things because statistics are very, very blurry. And the
right.
reason statistics are blurry is because a majority of cases are not reported. So it's
Yeah.
like if you say, well, 5 out of 10 girls, I don't know that you can believe that because,
Right. I don't think
there's so
so.
many that don't report it. But I can say that statistics would say that the average age of a trafficked female is 12 years old, and
Yeah.
about 6 out of 10 of the reported cases, they're trafficked by someone that they trust, they know, or they
Yeah.
love.
Mm-hmm.
And so to finish the clarification comment, the House of Promise that Sherry Montgomery founded in Lansing, Michigan. Lansing's the state capital. She's about an hour from here. That's an actual house, a rehabilitation. I don't want to say rehabilitation facility. I think it draws the wrong picture. Just picture a very, very big, beautiful home with a big front porch and it's a 2-story. It's a big home.
Yeah,
Six, I
it's a
think, yeah,
safety house kind of.
safety house. Yes.
Yeah.
I've been in it multiple times. Beautiful furnishings. There's the security that you would expect in a home like that, and 24/7 monitoring with a I don't know what to refer to the person, but they have a woman there that is around the clock in 3 shifts, just making
Yeah.
sure that they can be there for the women, that if they have, they need to talk, they need to whatever, they're there. And it's a great organization. And if I can brag for a second, because I
Yeah,
want
go
to make sure I
ahead.
don't forget. So, we gave 2021, which was last year, we gave the House of Promise $13,000, and this year we gave 11,750. Would have
That's awesome.
exceeded 13,000, but there was and I explained this with Sherry when we were talking. There's some operational things we needed to do as the organization, and she said you got to invest in yourself so that you
Oh
can
yeah,
grow.
you got to take
So,
care of,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you guys pay the expenses first, that's for sure.
Is this
When
going
it
to
comes to
cost
an
me
event.
anything? I'm just kidding.
No. It's
I
totally
didn't.
free.
Who do I make the check out to? Hmm.
Well, I am out here promoting your event, which is
Yeah,
going to bring in registrations, which is going to increase your funds that you're going to be able to hand over to the organization. So
yeah,
tell us about your Fast and Fitty or Fast Fitty.
yeah.
Fitty.
That's
I love it. So how'd you
so.
get the name?
Yeah, It didn't have a name
I
um,
know it's like, oh
for a
my
little
God, what do we
while,
do?
and it. So let me tell you the full story because I want to make sure that people that are near and dear to me get credit where it's due. So the
Uh-huh.
first thing is, let's go back to sometime pre-COVID. if we can do that.
Yeah.
So sometime
Let's go
2019.
pre-COVID.
Let's say it's summertime here in Michigan. So let's say it's June, July, August of 2019, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I can't sleep. My wife is sleeping peacefully. So I remember I remember getting up out of bed, and I went downstairs and I sat on our sectional, and I know I had my laptop in my hand, and I could not get the thought of a gravel road race out of my head. And I didn't know why. And it wasn't alarming, it wasn't scary, but I was like, I mean, what is this? What's the deal? And that night, and 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, I remember I was looking on Google, and I actually found a website. Believe it or not, easy to believe, I would say. They have a gravel. They have a gravel. Excuse me. They have a map of the United States where you can
Oh.
pick a state, zoom into a county, and it'll highlight in like neon green every gravel road within that county, apart
Oh.
from.
Oh, yeah. I think
So
I've
I
heard of
think that's
this.
other race director. I mean, people that might be inspired to do that. I mean, I was thinking to myself, Dale, it's 2019. You shouldn't be surprised that this exists. I was like, I was like, so here's what I
They're
did.
everywhere.
Right. There's lots of gravel road races back in 2019 in Michigan. And so what I start to do is put plot points on this map, and I'm like, well, where do the other races exist? Because I
Oh,
don't want to go and basically use somebody
yeah.
else's course, created, technically a different race, different name, different benefactor, but really you're like, I think I'm riding the same courses, such and such.
Right.
So I was looking, and I was like, this county in Michigan, Eaton County, it's just 15 miles from Lansing. And so it's in a town called Charlotte, not to be confused with Charlotte, North Carolina, with actually Charlotte. And I looked,
Charlotte.
and I found out they had like 500 miles of gravel road that the road commission maintains every year. They grade them,
Wow.
they fill them in, they do bridge work, they do
Because
like,
usually, like a lot of these roads are just our main traffic roads
yeah,
for population. Yeah,
right.
travel.
A lot of people, yeah, a lot
They're
of
not like
residents.
paved.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I said, Charlotte, there's something here. And then that's when I reached out to my friend Alan, and he goes by Al. And I
Wow.
said, hey, and now you got to remember, or you don't have to remember, you have to know, because I'm saying it for the first time. Alan is a major gravel racer,
Uh-huh.
does lots of gravel races, usually does
What's
the ultra
Alan's last
distance.
name?
I do. Okay. So Al, don't get mad. Al Wheeler.
Al Wheeler.
Hmm. So,
That's funny because my my mom's mom is a Wheeler.
see how small the world is? We're probably
Yeah,
related.
seriously.
Yeah,
I wonder if we're
I'm not a,
related. That'd be crazy. My
so
grandma is a Wheeler.
that's awesome. So I'll give you an example, Sylvie. I know that you're going to do Very Roubaix this year. So
Yeah.
there was a time and a place when, and I don't mean to speak in detail like I'm involved in that race, but there was a time and a place when they didn't have the 100-mile cycle killer.
Hmm.
It just they had the 62-mile course and the 36-mile course, but so I think I want to choose my words carefully. I think Al had a pretty decent involvement in creating that 100-mile course and then raced it. So
Right.
that's why I went to Al and I said, Al, and Al knows me, Al
Uh-huh.
knows me. So he knows Custer's last stand. He's raced Custer's last stand at the time of the conversation that I'm going to refer to right now.
Uh-huh.
And I said, Al, I can't get this gravel road race thing out of my head. And do you know what he says to me? Don't worry, it's a rhetorical question. He says, I've been thinking to myself for a while. I wanted to start a gravel road race, and I don't even know where to begin. He goes, it's so overwhelming. He goes, I just want to give people a date, a time, and a location. Everybody show up and we'll just go ride, and then we'll have food and beer after. And I was like, that would work too. I was like, that's actually sounds a
Definitely
lot
need that
easier than
part.
what I have to do and what other RDs have to do. And so he said, this is fantastic. And like our relationship like had formed to a newer, deeper level. And he was like, I was like, hey, I said, I said, can you go out and ride and put together 2 courses, 50 miler and a 30 miler? Can you do that for me? He said, give me a week. That's what he said.
Oh.
And it was November in Michigan. He's
Oh.
like, give me a week. He went out and he rode. He sent me the Strava map and he goes, I don't know about this one. He goes, you know, I might tweak it a little bit. And he rode what is the Fast Fitty, and it didn't have a name. And I looked at the course, I looked at the elevation, I looked at his time, and he's not racing it, and it's in November and it's cold. And I was like, and I said, that's a fast 50-mile course. I said that to myself. I said, that's a fast 50-mile compared to other times that you would see other 50-mile race courses results, you know, from other 50 milers. And then all of a sudden I saw that double F from the Foo Fighters on all their albums. And I said, Fast Fitty. I was like, that's awesome. 50 is lame. Fast Fitty. It's a Fast Fitty. And I was like, I'm going to have a hard time explaining this to lots of people, but at least I get it. I mean, at least I can sell myself on it. Fast Fitty, and Fast Fitty was born. And then I think you can see the double F logo right there inside of the gear, and the chain inside of the F. That's how Fast Fitty got its name. And that's how we got so then we had the Fast Fitty course named. And now what am I going to do with the 36-mile course? And it doesn't have a name. And so
Fast
I'm trying
36.
to think. Exactly. I'm like, I got to come up with a name, and it can't be too lame, you know. And I should have actually, you look back in hindsight, I'm like, man, should have put out like an opportunity for people to like win like a lifetime free registration for like giving me the best name, you know, or whatever. Made it interesting. But anyway, I said Fast Fitty, so it's got the length, it's got the word fast. So then the 36 miler became the Speedy. And I don't know if it's so
50? Fitty?
No, it's the Speedy. It's 36
it's just
miles.
the Speedy.
Yeah. And then I was like, and I did that, and I felt like if I look back, decisions made, mistakes made, I think, but also things that I've done well. I think launching the race with the 54-mile distance and the 36-mile distance was good. I think those were good, but it did, if you think about it, that did discourage a lot of gravel racers who don't want to do 36 miles and 1,700 feet of elevation. It's like, can you give me something that's 20 miles with 1,000 feet or 800 feet of climbing, so I can get into this and I can be a part of it, but that you're not making it such a horrible, you know, experience for me that I just want to go to my car, drive away, and never talk to you again. So then we got the Shorty. So we have the Speedy and the Shorty to accompany the Fast Fitty. And the Shorty is like 19 miles and it's like 700 feet of climbing, and it's gaining popularity because it's got a little bit more pavement in it than the other two.
It's a beginner course.
Yeah.
And you want people to start. It's just like triathlons. Like start with the, you know, the short distances, the try, you know, and then you like it, it works for you, move up distances. And so before you know it, in a couple of 5 years, they're doing the Fast Fitty. You know what I mean? Like it's good to give them that progression, I find. For people who want to start and just try it. And maybe they don't have the best bike either. You know what I mean? Like,
ask me what I'm riding on a gravel. Ask me, please.
Don't tell me you're on a fixie. Are you on a fixie? What are you riding?
I appreciate the question. Thank you. I was hoping you'd ask me.
Thanks for asking.
No, so I got a bunch of, I mean, like any bike enthusiast, I got bikes hanging in the garage, but my gravel bike is a 1998 Redline. It's a cyclocross bike. It's not a gravel bike. It's still a cyclocross bike.
I think they're like the same thing, except for the handlebars.
Well, that's fair. That's a fair statement. I think through the natural course of the 20 plus years, they've changed a little bit with the geometry of the frames, and obviously this is a aluminum frame. But anyway, it's an 8-speed drivetrain. It's got basic Shimano 105 Grupo on it. I've had to swap out some stuff because it literally just stopped, that's such a great story. You're like, my front, you know, my STI shifters stopped working because they shifted so much. They just were like, game over, dude. So I've had to put new, and you can still get 8-speed stuff from Shimano. So yeah, I mean, I've gone full carbon on multiple other bikes, but my gravel bike is Let me take you back to breakaway bikes in 1997, where this conversation
Is
started.
that where you got the bike?
Yeah, in
Is that your first?
1997, from a production or from a manufacturing perspective, Bianchi and Redline were the only two bike manufacturers making cyclocross bikes. That's it. Think about that.
Ah,
Think about,
yeah.
I want to buy a gravel bike, or I want to buy a cyclocross bike to do cyclocross races. Because cyclocross racing if I drive anywhere from 30 to 60 miles from my house, I can do a half a dozen to a dozen different
But not
cyclocross
20
races every
years
season.
ago.
20 years ago, there was one series
Like
that
one
existed.
series.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
had like 5 or 6 races. And I think most people just did all of them because they were
Yeah,
kind of
like
all,
they're
yeah,
all over, you know.
yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway, I looked at the Bianchi, and I was a college student, and I was graduating, and I had a lot of debt, and I didn't
Mm.
necessarily have a job. So I went with the red line because it was like $400 less than the Bianchi. So the Bianchi color, that Bianchi green blue is just like, it's
Mm-hmm.
not for everybody, but for me, that's like such a beautiful paint scheme. But I got this white, red, and black still hanging in my garage. I was just out on the Fast Fitty course back in October riding it. Thing weighs 1,000 pounds. I don't care. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
Actually, you know what? Come to think of it, I have my first, well, this is 2 years ago when I was like I couldn't afford a gravel bike. Like they were like $4,000. Like
Right.
if you want to get a good one. So I went to a vintage bike store, and they take in all these old steel frames and they refurbish them and they put on newer components and they resell them. And
Hmm.
so when I went in there, he's like, I have a Bianchi mountain bike that I can change up to be a gravel bike for you for like $1,000. I was like, okay. So he put together like it's got these crazy race tires on, and but the I have bar end shifters on it.
Nice.
And
Nice.
and it's like, and I used that Barry Roubaix last year. That was
That's
the
awesome.
first one, and it's comfortable, and I was just like, and usually I'm down my bars because it just doesn't feel comfortable on the top. And so I'm just shifting down there anyways. And so many people are like, "Oh my God, I like your bike." I'm like, it's like all these guys. I'm like, yeah, thanks.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah. And like I did like the 100K, and I did it in 5 hours on that bike. And
Mhm.
it was brilliant.
And
Yeah.
what did you think of going to, you know,
Barry Roubaix?
probably there was probably 4,000 plus racers that day and maybe 10,000 people in a very small town in Michigan. What'd you think of the
Well,
whole experience?
like the racers were there. It snowed the night before. It was
Sweet.
-5.
I
Um, and I had dressed appropriately. I brought my full Gore-Tex. Like I had heat warmers in my shoes and my
nice.
gloves. And I was just like, I don't care. I want to be comfortable. I am not like going in my little thin jacket like some of these guys. I'm like, I don't get it. Like I've got 100K, that's like 4 hours plus. I'm like, anything can happen between. I'm like, I just want to finish this happy, and I did.
Nice.
And so, but I was inspired last year when I interviewed Matt um, on my podcast. At the same time, I was interviewing Mark of Coast to Coast, and so they were together because Matt was helping Mark, and then I was like, "And what do you do, Mark, Matt?" And he's like, "Oh, I do Barry." I'm like, "Oh my God, I've heard of that race." I go, "I'd have to talk to you too."
He's
And then so
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so I got inspired, and now I've talked to a lot of you guys in Michigan, and I need to take the time because I don't mind driving to a good a race, but I know I need to map it out because Michigan isn't that close. Well, his race is like a 10-hour drive. So if
Ooh,
there's
okay.
events closer to me, I'm near Montreal.
Okay.
So I'm more like the New York State border, Vermont, like New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And I would have to go through New York State to get to Michigan. I'm not sure if there's another state in between there. I think it's New York.
New
borders
York and a
Michigan.
little bit of Ohio, and then Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so there's so many there. I would love to take a moment just to map out where everybody is located.
Sure.
And because I said, like, I know there's gravel races here, but they're kind of few and far between. And I personally, based on my experience last year, like the whole vibe of the American racing is just crazy. I love it. Like I love, like it's just it draws me over there. And but I want to create an event here that mirrors what you guys are doing over there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just want to do that over here, and I love the way you guys put them together. I love your vibes. I love like the just the enthusiasm of how these come together, like the charity involvements, like all these things are really,
So
really great.
if we were to, just from a race calendar perspective, not having talked to anybody, if you just looked at a race calendar, I would hope that you, me, and anybody else would go, bike racing in Michigan is alive and well and
Oh,
thriving. It
wow.
did
I
not
know.
used to be that way 10 years ago. You would look at a calendar and you'd see a race, Barry-Roubaix, and then
Uh-huh.
2-3 weeks on either side, there was nothing. So you'd be
Yeah,
like, Barry's coming, Barry's coming. Now it's
I
like,
know.
okay, you got Melting Man, you got Dirty 30, then you got Barry, then you got 12 other races. It's crazy. If you're a mountain biker, you can travel all over the lower peninsula below the Mackinac Bridge, all the way down to where I'm at, and do time trials, cross country, 100-milers. It's
Yeah,
just awesome.
it's really cool, like what's happening, and try to couple it with like a family trip. You know, it's just like, yeah,
A
yeah.
bike,
Okay, guess what? We're
a
going
5-hour
camping.
excruciating endurance plus my family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't talk to me till after. Maybe 2 days.
Yeah. I
So
remember,
yeah,
I remember from a family perspective, I did a 30-mile mountain bike race up in this kind of, so I don't know if you just Google it on your own. It's a Gaylord Grayling area. So it's 3 hours, 3.5 hours north of here, about an hour from the Mackinac Bridge, closer to
where's
the
the
Upper
Mackinac
Peninsula.
Bridge? Is that like
Mackinac,
in Detroit?
no, 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 no. Connecting the Upper Peninsula and the Lower Peninsula. So you take
Oh,
I-75 and go north, and runs you right up to the bridge. So a
oh,
map,
okay.
when you're looking at a map, you'll get it. But anyway, I was up there, and it was a 30-mile race, and it was raining at the finish. And this is about the family. I took my family with, right? Got a hotel with a pool. I got twin
Yeah,
daughters. They're
cool,
10,
cool.
12 years old at the time. My wife's with, and there they are. They're at the finish. It's raining out, and they're under
Yeah,
these huge golf umbrellas, like the ones where you not a drop hits you.
yeah,
And as I got close enough to where they could hear me, they're like, "Yay, good job, Daddy!" And I rode past, right, because I wasn't going to try to actually physically stop and maybe cause a traffic jam. They're like,
yeah.
"Yay, good job, Daddy!" And when I stopped and turned around, they had already walked to the truck. They were like, "We'll see ya. Like we're gonna go be dry. We'll talk at dinner or
You're
whatever."
like,
Yeah.
hey,
They're like, "Daddy, you're my hero. I'm out of here. I need to get, I need to be
here's a
dry."
sign.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Good job, Dad. So anyway,
Got the picture, and they're
yeah.
like, okay, we'll see you later.
Hmm.
We'll let you clean up, and we'll
Yeah.
meet you for something to eat.
Well, let me give props. You see this right here.
Yeah, what
For
is
those who
that?
are only gonna so the actual, like, this image is created
Hmm.
by one of my daughters. It's very
Oh, very
gifted.
cool.
Yeah, she's very gifted with design. She doesn't do it for her main employment, but she does it on the side for us, for the nonprofit. It's kind of her way of contributing, and so yeah, I
Oh,
mean, she's super cool about that too. And then they both volunteer, and I give both of them like the trustworthy assignments that you need to have, like
right.
someone that it's like, here's a major intersection that 5,000 cars go past. I'm going to have you marshal that area, right? Like,
Hmm.
you're not going to give it to just Joe Schmo
Anybody?
that, yeah,
Yeah.
that volunteered. So yeah, my kids are great. My wife is a super duper awesome person that supports behind
Props to
every
the wife.
guy that's doing a podcast is a woman who puts up with him.
Yeah. I know.
God bless her heart.
I know. God bless my husband's heart. God damn. He's been there tons of times. And you know, kudos, when he chooses to do an event, we're always supporting each other. So tell me about the Custer's last stand, the mountain bike time trial. How long has that
Yeah.
been around?
Since 2018.
Okay,
So
so a little,
this year will be year 6. Yeah, it was around for a couple of years before we started Fast Fitty. Um,
okay.
and the story behind that is, obviously I shared with you kind of that moment back in
Mm-hmm.
2017, right? And I started to just network. I mean, that's like, as an extroverted person, talking to strangers, I mean, anything that I can do to try to accomplish a goal, I'll
Mm-hmm.
do. So I'm talking to these people that are like local to Battle Creek, but I really don't know them. And
Yeah.
I got hooked up with a couple of pretty serious Ironman triathletes, that were also kind of like a conduit between me and like mountain bikers in the area.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, they said, do you know what I'm hearing? They said, I'm hearing that a time trial, because there's already a cross country mass start race at Fort Custer in May every year.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fort
And I'm
Custer.
really
So
good. Yeah. Yeah. It's called the Fort Custer Stampede. And that race has been in existence, I think, 23, maybe 24 years. That's a
wow.
long running race. Yeah. And matter of fact, I just talked to the president of that organization a couple of weeks ago about what
Mm-hmm.
2023's race is going to look like. So already have a mass start race. We should bring back a time trial. So what I learned was there was a time and a place back in late 90s into the early 2000s where there was a time trial put on by an organization whose name I can't even remember, and they did it. And I thought it was, from what I was gathering, it was wildly popular. People loved the course. It was like you did one lap and it was like 13 miles or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
they said it was well done. The course was well marked. It was and then it just disappeared. It just vanished.
Mm.
And so then there's this gap of like 10 years where there's no time trial. People are like, got to bring back the time trial, got to bring back the time trial. And so when I'm talking to these guys that I referred to earlier, they're like, if you're going to do a mountain bike race, do the time trial, bring it back. People want it. Do it
Is it the same
correctly.
course?
I don't think, I would say, I'm probably using parts of it. I don't
Right.
know the old course, that 13-mile loop, but you
Oh,
only
okay.
have I shouldn't say only, but I think you have 22 or 24 total miles of trails on 4 different trail systems that
Mm.
sometimes, cross paths with each other.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to name drop because I brought up Alan earlier, who's super helpful, and my friend Jay Bridgman. Jay's one of the guys that I met through just networking. So I'm at another mountain bike time trial in early 2018, Yankee Springs time trial, which is I think it's I'm pretty sure it's the longest running bike race, right? So not a type of race, bike race
Right.
in Michigan. This is going to be year 33 or something.
Oh,
This is like
wow. So that's
19,
probably the same age as like Barry Roubaix because they've been around for like 30 years, hasn't it?
no, 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 no,
Something
no,
like
no.
that.
Barry Roubaix is like
20?
2008.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, Barry Roubaix is like 2008. Yeah. But don't get me wrong, it was the first gravel road race in Michigan
Right.
that I know of.
Yeah, yeah.
But so I'm at this Yankee Springs time trial and I meet Jay, and the guy that I'm with, Charles, tells me, "Hey, this is JJ, this is Dale. You guys should talk." So we do. And then 3, 4 months later, and Sylvia, as you're talking to me, you're like, I can imagine how long that conversation was. It was probably, no, I'm just kidding. It was
Yeah.
probably, so we end up July 4th weekend of 2018. We're at Fort Custer. It's hot. There's not a cloud in the sky, and we're out doing recon, and we're riding and we're riding and we're riding, and then it wasn't like any major thing of frustration or something, or any epiphany happened, but we were just kind of sitting there. And then Jay looks at me and he goes, "I've got it." And I said, "You got what?" He goes, "I've got the whole course right now in my head. I know what we need to do. Follow me." So we had already ridden like 11 miles, and then we go ride like 9 more because the course is 9 miles. He's like, follow me. He goes, okay, we'll start here and just tell me what you think. And we rode it. It's 9 miles, and it's from a time trial perspective, for me personally, can't be 100% single track. You got to have some wide open areas for passing and for hammering. It's got to be this beautiful mixture. You got to have some climbing. It can't be flat, and it can't be all climbing, because then you'll just discourage people that don't want to climb and descend all day. And we went out, we put a 9.3 or 9.0 mile course together. Jay did. I give him credit for it. It's a great course. We've been complimented on that course many times. We just did the 5th year in October. We'll do the 6th annual this October. So that's how it came into existence. And that's that one's growing as well. It's a little bit more it's a little bit more difficult to get huge numbers for me, the time of the year that I do it. And I had so many things that I had to consider, and I'm not saying this negatively, but when I started working with Fort Custer Recreation, so it's the whole recreation area is owned by the state of Michigan. So now you're dealing with a government entity, right? So there's nothing that just gets done whimsically. There's a form for everything. There's a this, there's a that. And one of the things that they said to me was, well, you already have a mountain bike race here in May. And he's like, I'm not going to let you do it in June, July, or August. No. He's like, I got, that's full blown camping season. This place is thriving with people. And the recreational people just want to use the trails, right? So you're not doing it then.
Yeah, I guess.
That took me to September and October. And October looked to be, and I started thinking, are you familiar, Sylvie, with Iceman? You heard of it, I'm sure.
No,
right?
but I've heard of it. You need to connect me with that guy or whoever
I'll mention
it.
Yeah, I'll mention it right now, and then I can hook you up. I can give more detail if you want, but so Iceman's the first Saturday in November. So then I'm thinking to myself, I'm the first Saturday in October, and I'll spin it that way. I mean, it's not like you have to believe that, but I'm like, if you're training for Iceman, which that's another 4,000 or 5,000 racer participation every year. I think they cap it at 4,000 or 4,500. I said, come on out and do a hard 2-lap, 9 miles. To be 18 miles for 2 laps, about 1,000 feet of climbing, and you can go full gas and see how your condition is. Come on out, and the money goes to a great cause. And so far, I mean, we're approaching. I think we're just under 200 people last year, but I started with like 110, and then COVID, and so I think we're growing that one as well.
Nice. Wow. So yeah. That's awesome. Now, what else can you tell us about your events that you would want everybody to know before we because we've got the Fast Fitty and we got Custer's Last Stand. Yeah. What can you tell us, Dale, that we could, that our listeners would need to know before we sign off?
Okay.
I think we've touched on everything.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah. I think it's been good. Fast Fitty go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Maybe where they can find each one of these, like the socials for each one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to answer the first question though before I lose it.
I know.
Do
I
the
got
social
like,
part after.
And this and that.
Yeah. I'm not taking notes. So 2023 is the first year that Fast Fitty is a member or participating in the Michigan Gravel Race Series. So if you are involved in the Michigan Gravel Race Series and you're looking for a race around the Charlotte, Lansing area, it is on August 19th, a 3rd Saturday in August. The money is going to go to a great cause. It is held at the Alive facility in Charlotte, and I'm not going to go into, they're great to work with, but I'm not going to go into detail about that. But I'll say this, it's like a 5-star luxury YMCA is what the Alive is. That's how I would describe it.
Okay.
So if you want to have a very like nice
camping experience,
a hot shower, with all the amenities, a nice locker room, nice clean bathrooms. There's a juice bar inside of there if you want to get a smoothie. We
That
do,
sounds like a road trip for the family to me. If anybody's trying to convince somebody to go participate,
yeah.
I'm
So
just saying.
it's and so we are a Michigan Gravel Race Series. You mentioned Matt Acker earlier. He's been great to
Yeah.
work with. We're excited to see what the increase in registration will be, perhaps as a result of joining. And so we're very excited about that. We also are a premier race for the I Love Gravel Racing Series that Donnie and Pamela Harper have started.
Excellent. I was going to ask if you were participating in that as well, because so is
So
my event.
that's fantastic. I
I
think,
know you have to get extra points to come into Canada, everyone.
yeah, yeah. So I would encourage people to, so now let's do social.
Yeah.
Um, at Fast Fitty Gravel Race on Facebook. That's at Fast Fitty Gravel Race, all lowercase on Facebook, and Race Fast Fitty on Instagram. And there is also fastfitty.org. It's our website. Give you all the information that you want to know about the race. And you obviously can click on the registration button, takes you to the registration page.
Don't forget to do that while you're
Don't forget to do that.
there. I
Putting in a
imagine
plug
people
right,
could probably donate too if they want.
they can absolutely donate. Yeah, if they
Yeah.
don't want to race, that's totally cool. There's also join the fight MI. So join the fight, all lowercase MI for the two first letters of Michigan, mi.org. Join the fight mi.org is our nonprofit website. And then there is, when you go to join the fight mi.org, you can click either way, go to Fast Fitty or Custer's Last Stand. You can go to either
Okay,
page. You can
perfect.
go to either website. And I don't have registration open for Custer's yet. That's not till July 1st. And my focus is primarily Fast Fitty here with you today. But so yeah, there's that. And then so we're a premier race for I Love Gravel Race Series. And I would encourage everybody that's listening, go out, honestly, Sylvia, I don't have Pamela's information in front of me, but
Oh, I
if you
can
look
add
for,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'll add
Love
it.
Gravel Racing is easy to find on Facebook, and from there you can find Bike Reg and you can
Yeah.
join the series. And they got some really, really cool gift ideas that I'm seeing. And then from a Michigan Gravel Race Series perspective, I want to just say again, Matt, if you hear this, you've been really cool to work with. You've been good to me. And I really encourage people to join that race series as well. I think it's very cost effective if you're going to do multiple races. And I think, it just really entices you and kind of gives you that reason to do, more races and check
Mm-hmm.
out more races. So,
Mm.
I'm in August in Michigan, so it's a warm weather day every day. It's in the
Yeah.
80s. It's sunny, but also the gravel road, all of the grading, all of the road construction, all that stuff is usually done by August. So you just have really well-packed gravel. It's like any gravel course. There's going to be a little bit of potholes, a little bit of washboard, but for the most part, the gravel's in really good shape. And I've got, from a Michigan gravel race perspective, I've got the mini, I've got the short, and I've got the long. So if you've joined any of
Right.
those three series, I have a race for you. The only one that I don't have is Ultra. Maybe I
That's
should say I
okay.
don't have it yet. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Sometimes it's better that, you're good with what you're doing well with, like like right now. If people
Message
aren't
received.
asking, because that's a whole other ball game, is like adding something that's much longer in a race. It's more time consuming for you, really
It'll
just
make my
hanging
day
out.
longer.
Yeah.
You got to start them earlier. They're going to
Yeah,
come
I
in
know.
later. You got to keep track of. I mean, yeah, their timing company's going to be there longer. I mean, there's a lot of
Hmm.
moving parts beyond just me and
Yeah.
my team.
Yeah. So sometimes those nice little short races, and you can really focus on the festival type of community around it. I think, and you just leave those for the longer ones,
Yeah.
which everybody can use your event to prep for those.
hmm
That's what I think.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna have a pretty cool rockin' beer garden at Fast Fitty
Oh.
again. I bought the beer last year and let everybody drink for free. A few people came up specifically and they were like, "That's really cool that you did that, Dale." Like, we're used to buying it, right? Like people bring
Mm-hmm.
cash and they're expecting to buy food and beer and apparel and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And I've heard things like your apparel is very reasonably priced. I don't know. Some people say, I don't know why you don't charge more, because to them, they're like, it's more money for your cause. And I'm like,
You're
it's
like,
just a
I'm
thing.
making a lot already, so don't worry about
A
it.
$20 t-shirt is, like, you shouldn't have to spend 30. That's just my own personal opinion, but
Well, it's kind of nice when it's reasonably priced, because then people are just going to buy more too,
yeah. And
I
right
think.
now, from now until March 31st, I've extended the the registration time period for Fast Fitty a lot longer than the
Mm-hmm.
previous 3 years. So I only had I think I had it open for 4 months, which
Yeah,
just as a race director who's done races, I thought that's plenty of time. I can still
you would think.
increase it and entice you to sign up early. If you want to
Mm-hmm.
pay more, that's your thing. It's more money for me, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful about that, but you can pay 35, you can pay 75 for the same race. It's up to you. I'm encouraging you to pay 35 and just lock it in, especially if
Yeah.
you're in one of these series. So
Mm-hmm.
right now until March 31st, they're the lowest prices for Fast Fitty. You can do the shorty course for $25 and I'm buying
That's
your beer.
awesome.
So come on, folks. What are you? It's a fun way to
What are
get
you
out
waiting for? And you can stay at the high end KO. It's not KOA. It's what's it?
alive.
Alive,
Yeah.
alive campground. So that's where the family's going to stay while you're participating. Think
No,
ahead.
it's not. I described it as a 5-star luxurious YMCA. It's actually a workout facility.
What?
The Alive, yeah, it's a workout facility. I kid you not. It's like a mega health spa.
Oh, I
And
thought you
I'm
said it's
saying
like a
I'm saying that as a
camping and
compliment to
like,
them.
I thought you said
No,
there's
no, no, no,
camping
no.
there. Oh, okay.
No, no,
Forget
no,
that
no.
then.
You said camping. You said
Oh,
camping. And I might have just said yeah and then kept on with my sentence. I'm guilty. I'll just
okay.
charge myself. But
Forget everything we said about Alive being a camping resort. Because I was
no,
like, yeah, camping. Like, I'll bring the family. It's a 5-star, blah, blah, blah.
no, I'll
Okay.
put in a
There's
plug.
no
There
camping.
is a Holiday Inn Express in
Oh,
Charlotte, and I'd recommend staying there. And there is a campground in Charlotte as well that other people stayed at too, and they said that was a perfectly good experience.
perfect. There we
And
go.
from
Okay, good. There's
Alive,
camping.
but let me speak to your female listeners for a second because
Okay.
this is a lot of the feedback I got last year. They
Okay.
came up to me and they said, "Thank you so much, right, for like figuring out how to host the event here. Like the bathrooms are
Oh.
clean, they're private, I can take a hot
Oh.
shower. It was awesome."
Mm.
A lot of people show up at gravel races and go, well, I'm either going to do what I call a nature change, hope nobody's looking, right? And here we go, zip, zip, back into regular clothes, or they just put other clothes on over their racing stuff. And I'm like,
Ooh.
go in and take a hot shower. And they're carrying shaving kits and bath bags and towels. And everybody went in there like, that was awesome. I'm like, 3 hours in the saddle on a hot, dusty August day, take a hot shower, come out, have free beer and good food. That's
Yeah.
part of
Okay.
Fast Fitty.
I
So
got it. All right.
yeah,
Perfect. Well, I think that should have enticed a couple more people to sign up. So I hope our listeners have enjoyed this episode with Dale and the Fast Fitty and put it on your race calendar and actually just go in and check out more of the races that are associated with the I Love Gravel Race series and the Matt's gravel
Michigan
what's
Gravel Race Series.
Michigan Gravel Race Series. So there's two that you can go in, you can gain points for. So if you're
hmm
participating in gravel or mountain biking races in that region, or even in Canada, because one of them is in Canada, that's mine. You should be part of that so you can gain points and possibly like win some really cool prizes. Why not? Right? Like I think it's cost like $15 for the I Love Gravel series to be part of that. And I'm not sure about the other one, but check into both of them. Because if you're looking at doing, probably like 4 races or whatever this summer, you could benefit somehow extra. So, and put Fast Fitty on there as well. So thanks a lot, Dale. And thanks to our listeners for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and our YouTube channel. So it's been a pleasure, Dale.
It has been a pleasure too, and happy Friday once again. And thanks to everybody who took the time to listen.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great one. Bye.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me on the Secrets from the Saddle podcast, learning more about sighting people, places, and things that make cycling such an exciting sport. I am so glad you stopped by today. Please leave me a review if you feel so moved to do so. I would love to hear your feedback. And if you could take 1 second to share this episode with someone you think would enjoy it, I would be forever grateful. Also, if you could please leave me a review if you feel so moved by going to iTunes and leaving me an honest thought and an honest comment, telling me what you think, and most importantly, tell me what you'd like to hear more of. It would really help me to bring more great, inspiring cycling stories to you. Until then, have an amazing day. Make sure you ride your bike. And don't forget to visit my YouTube channel if you'd like to see the full version of this podcast live.